earlier this morning, news came out that Jason David Frank has passed away. We'll just kind of recap everything on IGN and then we'll discuss it. So, via IGN, Jason David Frank, the original Green and White Ranger on Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, has died at age 49. Frank played Tommy Oliver and appeared in the first season in 1993. As reported by TMZ, Frank's representative, Justine Hunt, confirmed he had died in Texas. Quote, "Please respect the privacy of his family and friends during this horrible time as we come to terms with the loss of such a wonderful human being," Hunt said. Quote, "He loved his family, friends, and fans very much. He will be truly missed." Walter Jones, who played the Black Ranger in Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, tells TMZ, "He was an inspiration to so many people. His presence will be dearly missed. It's so sad to lose another member of our Ranger family." He adds, "Jason was one of the best pranksters on the show. He had a wild sense of humor. We had our shares of ups and downs, but I stayed consistent about being an ear if he needed one. My prayers go out to his family and all that will miss him." Frank was only supposed to be on Mighty Morphin Power Rangers for 14 episodes, but he was brought back due to the popularity of the character in several adaptations of Power Rangers, including Wild Force, Turbo, Zeo, Dino Thunder, Megaforce, Ninja Steel, Hyperforce, and more. He's been a Red Ranger, a Black Ranger, and a Green Ranger anew. Jason David Frank is a fan favorite Power Ranger, which is why he returned to the franchise time and time again. While he was cast in a few other movies and shows, he became a professional fighter from 2008 to 2010, as he was an expert in a handful of martial art styles. He even created his own style of American karate called Tosokundo, and was inducted into the World Karate Union Hall of Fame in 2003. Jason David Frank is survived by his 4 children. So yeah, this just sucks, man. And there's still a lot going out about, how he passed away. A lot of unsubstantiated. Yeah. Substantiated. Mm-hmm. Stories, unconfirmed stories about what happened. If those turn out to be true, obviously it's very tragic. And, to anybody listening to this that maybe struggles with similar struggles of that nature, definitely know that you deserve to be here. Mm-hmm. You are awesome, and people suck, and you should definitely reach out to someone and get help. Seek the help of a medical professional. Me and Maggie both joined therapy this year. Mental health is a huge priority, and just know that you should definitely, if you ever struggle with not feeling like you should be here, then you should definitely reach out to someone, because you should be here. That's why you're here. So yeah, that being said, I guess I'll kind of start us off here. Power Rangers for me was like my first nerdum, the first big group of people that my first fandom, that's the word I'm looking for, that I really loved, up to that point, I was young. It came out when I was in first grade. So I was like 5 or 6, and, I'd seen a few things like, mostly like Winnie the Pooh, right? Like that was probably my other big fandom at the time, Saved by the Bell. But Power Rangers was the first time I felt like I'd found something that was like truly for me, and I fell in love immediately. Like I loved the idea of these teenagers. It was almost like Saved by the Bell in that way, even though looking back they were way more corny than Saved by the Bell. But seeing them, and then they have these powers, and they did karate, and especially coming from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles growing up, that was another one I really liked. But that was like my brothers were into turtles too, so this felt like mine, and so just seeing that and these giant monsters, and they were all different every week, and stuff, and like I really enjoyed it. But it wasn't until the Green with Evil miniseries that they did, when they first introduced Tommy, that I like really started noticing like, oh, I need to pay attention to like every episode. Yeah. Like it wasn't just, catch it when you can. Yeah. Like I needed to see every episode, And actually, my mom and dad bought us the VHSs of those, and they sold each episode individually. Okay,
Yeah.
like it was 5 episodes, and it was like, I don't even know how much they were, but it was ridiculous. And so, like, you know, that was a big deal to me. I got the action figures, you know, but before Green with Evil, I would be playing with my friends at school, and we'd all pretend to be Power Rangers, you know, like, oh, I'm the Red Ranger, I'm the Black Ranger. And I would always make up the Green Ranger because my favorite color was green.
Yeah.
So I wanted to be a Green Ranger. Why couldn't there be a Green Ranger?
Yeah.
And I would say that my Zord was a turtle. It was a turtle Zord. You know, that was like that was my whole big thing. And so when they actually introduced a Green Ranger, I was like, holy shit. Do I have Jesus eyes? Is that, do I know the future? Am I just that smart? And, you know, and that season kind of continued, and Tommy was in again, off again, lost his powers, gained his powers back.
Yeah.
And then, like, after summer, Fox Primetime, not even Fox Kids, but Primetime Fox decided to release the first 3 episodes of season 2
Yeah.
in primetime. And they were on the TV Guide. They were, like, it was everywhere. And I was in heaven, right? I was like, it's legit now. Like, this comes on at the same time as 2020. This is for adults now. And like that introduced Lord Zed, right? And so, I mean, that was just, oh, it was insane at that point, you know. And like they started using like more American footage. So, you know, it was actually the actors kind of fighting and stuff. They got new Zords, which I was like, holy shit, this is crazy. And, you know, and, you know, throughout that series, he finally loses his powers, and then a few weeks later, oh, there's a White Ranger. Who could the White Ranger be? You know, and me and my brother Billy had like this ongoing joke of like you would, because they would show the promo, and like the White Ranger would start to take off their helmet, and they would cut away, right? And it was like, who will be the White Ranger? And so we would do one where it would be like, who is the White Ranger? And they go, it would be Bulk. It'd be Bulk under the helmet. It's so great.
My Lord.
Yeah, I would have loved it, man. Poor Bulk and Skull never got their powers, you know. They should have. But yeah, so obviously that turned out to be Tommy, and that, you know, warmed everybody's hearts. The movie came out, Zeo, Turbo, Tommy leaves, Forever Red comes out, and Tommy's back, and then Dino Thunder comes out, and Tommy's back again, and now he's a professor, because I don't know, he knows how to be a professor now. And like, you know, throughout all the years, Tommy has become kind of the unofficial mascot of Power Rangers, you know. And it just, he was such an important figure to like the franchise. Yeah. And obviously Jason David Frank was that. Like he wanted to be that. Like, you know, there was a few years probably post Power Rangers that he was maybe a little more standoffish about it. You know, like he wanted to be known for more than just this kid show, right? Yeah. But especially in the past, you know, decade and a half at least, he's really like leaned into it, you know, like he was, he came back for several things. He started promoting Power Rangers. He actually, when that guy, I can't think of his name, but when they released Power / Rangers, the R-rated YouTube video, he actually came out and was like against it. He was like, this is not what Power Rangers should be. Like Haim Saban would not want this, you know. And he was like, and if I'm going to be a part of Power Rangers, it's going to be official Power Rangers, because they were like, you know, would you do like a cameo in this? And he's like, no, this is you're turning something, you know, that's good into something, you know, R-rated. And don't get me wrong, I really enjoyed Power / Rangers. Like, don't get me wrong, I really thought it was cool. I wouldn't want that to be the only Power Rangers thing that exists, but I thought it was cool. But he, you know, so he really respected just the fandom of Power Rangers. You know, he had a lot of respect for the fans and stuff. I'm starting to cry. Like, I didn't expect that to actually happen.
Well, you was reading that, I started to tear up.
Yeah. Like, I mean, it just, you know, there's been a lot of, I'm shocked that I'm actually starting to cry. There's been a lot of, you know, loss, a lot of celebrities lost and stuff. And And like, I guess this one just hits harder.
Yeah.
Because like, this is like a huge piece of my childhood. Honestly, I'm sorry, everybody. I didn't know, like reading the story earlier and seeing the tweets and stuff. It sucked, but I wasn't emotionally, dismayed about it. But I guess like sitting here and going over this, like I realized just how important he really was to me.
Yeah.
And like, it's just sad. Like, it's sad that someone who meant so much to so many people and who kept life in a fandom that should have died decades ago.
Yeah.
I mean, Power Rangers should not still be around. And one could argue that Tommy is a primary reason that it is still around.
Oh, yeah. And
for him to have ended this way, it just sucks. And like, knowing that, this is so selfish, but like knowing I'll never get to like go and meet him.
Yeah.
Or just let him know like how much he meant, like on a personal level. Like, it just sucks. He was such a decent human being. Yeah. And don't get me wrong, he had his flaws. He had faults, and he could get a little heated at times, and he would talk shit about different Power Rangers and stuff. For sure.
Yeah.
He wasn't perfect, but I mean, at the end of the day, all he wanted was to take care of the thing that so many people cared about. And I think that that's noble, Maggie, why don't you start talking?
Okay. I was into Power Rangers when I was younger, especially when it first came on. I guess I was probably 4 around that time.
Yeah.
Whenever you said first grade, I was like, ooh. Yeah. But I remember being in kindergarten, getting off the bus and rushing, because my brothers always took over the TV downstairs. I always rushed to my mom and dad's bedroom because it was the other TV in the house.
Yeah.
And I remember propping my feet up on, I can't remember, I think it was like a drawer or a trunk of some kind. Yeah. Mom and dad put the TV on, propping my feet up on it and watching Fox Kids and Mighty Morphin Power Rangers coming on. Yeah. And like, I can't really remember much because I was so young, but I remember like I loved it and all my friends loved it. And I probably had a crush on Tommy, to be honest.
I mean, everybody. I had a crush on Kimberly. All the girls had crushes on Tommy.
Yeah.
Or Kimberly. I mean, whatever. Do you?
But I remember in kindergarten, there's this one boy, he always got in trouble all the time. And we just decided to play Power Rangers in the room. And I had a cousin in the same class with me, and me and her would always fight over who's going to be the Pink Ranger. But I always... so I always came back to be the Yellow Ranger. And okay. But the boy that always got in trouble, we had these massive plastic building blocks, and there was holes in the triangle ones, and they were red. So he put his hands into some of them, and he slapped them together, and he's like, I'm crap, man. I'm here to destroy you Power Rangers, and we act like we knew karate and stuff and try to fight them off.
That's hilarious.
But I mean, Power Rangers, for a kid in the 90s, that was like a big thing.
It like defined our generation.
Yeah. And it just sucks to talk like this. I mean, just a few weeks ago we lost Kevin Conroy, and now, people
last
knew,
week.
or
Just
last week, lost him, and like a lot of people just identify him as Batman.
Yeah.
And then we lose another icon from the 90s. That was the icon of Power Rangers. Yeah. I mean, and whenever I was telling my brother, he was a very talented guy, fighting wise. Well, very talented.
Reading over this, seeing that he was inducted in the World Karate Union Hall of Fame. Like, I don't know if you remember, but when they were like releasing different things for Power Rangers, when it really blew up, they had like the fan club and stuff. Yeah. And Tommy, or Jason David Frank, had a karate class video. Yeah. So like, and I mean, it was Power Rangers themed. Yeah. Like, he fought on the mountain that the command center was on. And he had students and stuff, and it was just him like doing karate and like you learning from him, and just the fact that he legit knew that stuff,
Yeah.
you know, like I mean, a lot of these people,
They
especially nowadays,
now,
like they just,
yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
the stuntman comes in and does
yeah.
it for CG, you know?
Yeah.
But like, he knew his shit. Like
Yeah.
he wanted
Well,
to
that was
do it, you know?
well. I mean, they sought out somebody that knew karate
Yeah.
to take that character. You
Yeah.
know. So
And
I
you know,
mean,
he was, this is a total side tangent.
yeah.
The reason he was cast was because he was supposed to lead the original version of VR Troopers. So,
Oh,
yeah. And it was going to
wow.
be called something else. It was one person. It was almost like Master Rider.
Yeah.
But it used the footage from what would turn into, what would turn into Master VR Troopers. Sorry, I'm totally blocked.
Okay, I was like, I don't know what you mean. Or do you mean a different show?
Because in VR Troopers, they had 3 characters.
Yes.
But only 2 of them were from the same show.
Yeah.
And so they would have to intercut the 2 shows together. And that's why all 3 of them were never on screen together unless it was like new footage from America.
Yeah.
And so before they decided to do VR Troopers, they tried to sell it as a one-person thing.
Mm-hmm.
And like he was like riding a motorcycle, and
Oh, wow.
he was, I think, like his dad had died, and he was trying to find like vengeance for his dad and stuff. And I think his name was Jason in it. I want to say his name was Jason. But so when that didn't get picked up, Haim Saban like was like, well, hey, you know, we need
we need somebody.
Yeah. And so they brought him over for Tommy. And I mean, just imagine if that show had got picked up and ended like VR Troopers did, we maybe wouldn't even know who Jason David Frank is, you know? So, sorry, that was a side tangent.
It's okay. And, you know, this morning when I found out, I was kind of in disbelief because it hadn't really been confirmed yet. Like, only one website had something, and like everybody was speculating. They're like, we don't think this is real. There's no way. There's no way.
And there's been so many, especially recently, of people not dying.
Yeah.
You know, from fake accounts and stuff.
Yeah. And I was thinking, I was like, oh, somebody, you know, is, you know, pulling something. This is awful. And then it seemed like the longer time went on, more and more started coming up. And and he's so young. I mean, 49. That's young.
Yeah. It is. God, it is.
And it's just heartbreaking. I mean, no, I knew he had kids, but I didn't know he had 4 kids.
Yeah.
And I mean, anybody that was tweeting about him that had met him said that he was like the nicest person.
Yeah.
That he really, and that he really, really cared about the fans.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's just, it's heartbreaking, you know? It's just, I don't know.
Yeah. No, I mean, you're right. I mean, and like, you know, a couple of weeks ago, they announced that for the 30th anniversary of Power Rangers that they were bringing back.
They're bringing back a bunch. Yeah.
Like, I think Zach and Billy and I think Kimberly wasn't shown, but I think Jason was there and maybe Aisha. So, and, Oh, and Rocky.
Yeah.
They had some of the
but
Stone Canyon kids.
Yeah, and like our jaws dropped because Billy was back.
Yeah, which is great.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I was like, you know, obviously he's not there, but I mean, obviously Tommy's going to be there.
He's involved.
And then, you know, just obviously he's been in so many of the anniversary specials and stuff. So, I mean, it's not like we never got it, but, you know, it's just, it's not going to feel the same, you know? And like, again, I think this just hits harder because this was just such a big piece of my childhood.
Yeah.
It's like the first time like a piece of my childhood is kind of died, you know.
It hurts.
But
also, before I forget, I really loved when the comic books did the trailer for Lord Draken.
Yes, and he actually
he was Lord Draken. I thought
he was so good. He looked
awesome.
so good. Yeah, and the fact that he's willing to do it. You know? And like he did for the video game, he did the fight against Chun-Li.
Yeah.
And like Chun-Li became a Power Ranger.
Yeah.
And
that was cool.
Even when I wish I could think of their names. Oh, why can't I think of their names? But it was a YouTube fan channel.
Yeah.
And like they would do like death battles, right? And they would pair people with, and like it'd be people in different costumes and stuff, like Batman versus Darth Vader or something.
It was always something crazy.
And so they did one of they did 2. They did one with the White Ranger, one with the Green Ranger. And he came back and did both of those for just these fan films. Like, and he brought his own suit, his own helmet. And I remember not liking his helmet because they put like a green or a gold stripe.
Yeah.
And I was like, what are they doing? And I think he fought Scorpion in it or something. It's not Midnight Suns. Bad in the Sun? Bad in the Sun? Talk for a second.
Okay.
The Sun. I think it was Bad in the Sun.
But the fact that he came back as Lord Draken, I thought that was really, really kick-ass. And I don't know. It's just sad. I can't.
Bat in the Sun. Superpower Beatdowns is what they were called. Yeah, it was White Ranger versus Scorpion. And they did another one, Green Ranger versus
Ryu.
How funny. Like, because then he fought Chun-Li, right?
Yeah.
And Ryu is Street Fighter also, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and Ryu even is in the game as like a Power Ranger. Wow. And that was 7 years ago. 13 million views on that. The White Ranger one was it's more than 2 years ago. It was 9 years ago. And it was 16 million views. Yeah, if you haven't checked those out, like that was before like Power Rangers really started getting their resurgence again. Like, I mean, sure, they still had, they had the shows on and stuff, but like the more like adult oriented stuff, like the new comic book, the new movie that they had, like, so I feel like stuff like that really helped keep it going. Yeah. And speaking of the new movie, he even cameoed in it.
Yeah. Yeah, and Kimberly too.
He actually did two. So the first one didn't make it into the movie. Him and Kimberly were on a date inside the Dunkin' Donuts. Or Krispy Kreme. It was Krispy Kreme donuts.
Yeah, and that is right, because they had the donuts for yeah.
And when Rita comes in and like destroys it or whatever, they were in there. Yeah. And he grew his hair out again to look like the old Tommy. And so then he cut it and stuff, and they're like, hey, we've changed up the scene, can y'all come in and do a different thing? He's like, I already cut my hair. They're like, that's fine. And so that at the end where they're like taking pictures of the Zords and stuff, like that's what they ended up doing. And that it was cool that he like, he was there to represent like the old guard kind of passing the baton, even though that movie ended up not continuing anywhere. It was good though. I liked it enough. And gave us Billy from Stranger Things. He was playing Jason.
Yeah, that is Billy, right.
And his dad was Roy from The Office. Yeah, just a lot of casting there. But yeah. So anyway, there's not really a lot to say about how we move on from this or how we deal with this, but I guess the thing is kind of like what we said about Kevin Conroy is that he'll always be the original Green Ranger. He'll always be the original White Ranger. And nothing can ever change that. Nothing can change the the hope that he gave people, the happiness, the legacy that he had. I mean, no matter what, no matter how it all ended, like he was still in some ways, in most ways, a positive force for good in the world. And even though Power Rangers was fictional, he still helped change a lot of people's lives.
So. Yeah, it's true.